fast to prepare for this. Tripping in the world could be dangerous. Everybody circling as vultures. Negative, nepotist. Everybody waiting for the fall of man. Everybody praying for the end of times. Everybody hoping they could be the one. I was born to run, I was born for this. Whip, whip, run me like a racehorse. Pull me like a ripcord. Break me down and build me up. I wanna be the slip, slip. Word upon your lip, lip. Rather that you rip, rip. Break me down and build me up. Whatever it takes. 'Cause I love the adrenaline in my veins. I do whatever it takes. 'Cause I love how it feels when I break the chains. Whatever it takes. Yeah, take me to the top. I'm ready for whatever it takes. 'Cause I love the adrenaline in my veins. I do what it takes. That I feel being typical. Looking at my body feeling miserable.
Grand, buddy. Cook it. All right. Hey, I want to wish everybody Happy New Year's. Hope you had a good New Year party, Christmas, and happy holidays for everyone. I got breaking news. Trump pulled the plug and took out Maduro, just like they did in Grenada, just like they did in Iraq. They captured the guy. They didn't do a Gaddafi. They could have did a Gaddafi. Butter knife in the butt. Oh, that's bad. But no, they captured him. They're putting him and his wife in jail. It was an in and out operation. I think they took out the intelligence, the comms. They went after the air power. They came in here with Blackhawks, special forces, captured and extracted the package. Quite a good operation. I think Pete Hegseth is kicking ass. I really have to salute Pete. Good job on that operation. Good job on Iran. Raising Cain. He did a good job in Iran. And, you know, Trump's doing peace through strength. A lot going on right now on the devil's chessboard. Hey, man. Go. But Maduro was a thug, you know, a despot, communist, and he was only in power because of the money and oil and guns. You know, he rigged elections, and he was bringing a lot of drugs and fentanyl into this country. People say not the fentanyl, but still, he he let all his prisoners and people out of mental institutions in our country. I mean, he's deliberately bringing drugs left and right in, and together with Colombia, you know. So I'm glad he's been taken out. Now maybe we could get a Democrat government in there, and that's the biggest resource of oil in North America. So that's a plus right there for America. But Middle East is kind of stagnated. Zelensky's getting his ass kicked. 2.3 million casualties. He did take out the power in Russia the other day, so that went pretty good. And Putin was pissed. He attacked his vacation home, the Valdez vacation home with drones. All of them were shot down, but that pissed off Putin, I'm sure. But unlike, you know, the Russian army, we went in there, we took out the leader right away. No fucking around. Venezuela was a despot. With the head cut off now, they could get fair elections and rebuild that country. So that's what needs to happen in Ukraine. But the problem with Ukraine is you got the elites, the untouchables versus the cannon fodder. And Zelensky's was just throwing people to the meat grinder and not really having any strategy how to beat the Russians. He has no strategy. And you can't win without air power. And, you know, you're being outnumbered. You have air superiority on the other side. And they have greater artillery strikes and bigger bombs, you know. So Zelensky has to admit he's losing. He's just trying to get a lot of money off this grifter, trying to make money off of death. And, you know, Putin, I keep saying, why don't Putin take him out? He just might after these last few events. So we'll see what happens in Ukraine. Trump's backing off from that, which is a good idea. He's creating Fortress America, get rid of these coke boats and taking out the despot leaders, the commies. And Cuba's next. Cuba's next. Venezuela's been holding up Cuba. They've been giving them free oil and free shit for so long. They're bankrupt down there. They got another despot leader, another commie. You know, if you get rid of these commies and you let the people have freedom, It's a much better country. I've been in communist countries. They're horrible. The food's horrible. There's no work. People are all doing shit jobs, and the people at the top have all the power. Oy vey. That's how it's designed. So hope everyone has a happy new year. I hope things go well for Fortress America. It looks like Trump's doing a good job, and I salute Pete Hexet for a good operation. JP out. Get the frisbee.
2025 will go down in history as a year of fundamental transformation of the world order. Key alliances that seemed unshakable have fractured, and conflicts that defined previous year's agendas have entered new phases, reshaping the world's political landscape. This review covers the main events that took place in the US, Europe, Ukraine, the Middle East, and Asia over the year. The most significant event in the United States this year was Donald Trump's inauguration in January. The Republican victory over the Democrats signaled significant changes in domestic and foreign policy. Domestically, Trump is trying to restore the trade balance by introducing tariffs. He has created conditions for the transfer of declining industries from Europe to the U.S. Trump's policies have dealt a blow to inclusiveness and representativeness, sparking a wave of protests among Democrats. In foreign policy, Trump and his administration have shifted from confrontation with Russia to dialogue. This shift has caused a rift in the previously united Western coalition. Financial and military aid to Ukraine has virtually ceased, triggering major tactical crises on the front lines. A face-to-face meeting between Trump and Putin in Anchorage, Alaska, marked the revival of direct diplomatic relations between the two countries. Throughout the year, the U.S. president has shown restraint and detachment toward European allies. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky also witnessed a shift in foreign policy. A striking example of this occurred during a heated conversation at the White House. During the meeting, Vice President J.D. Vance publicly criticized Zelensky for his appearance, saying it showed disrespect to the American side. The American strategic bomber strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities were a high-profile event. The operation was intended to demonstrate the strength of the alliance with Israel, a key supporter of American interests in the Middle East. However, there has been no direct confirmation of the destruction of the targets, meaning there is a high chance that Iran's nuclear facilities will remain intact. If current trends continue, the rift in the Western coalition will only grow in 2026. This is reflected in the updated U.S. national security strategy. Even if the Ukrainian conflict remains unresolved, direct relations between Washington and Moscow will strengthen, bypassing European allies. The loss of the United States as a direct and powerful ally was a heavy blow to the European Union. This weakened the influence of the war party and created significant divisions among EU leaders. Nevertheless, the region's key powers, the UK, France, and Germany, continue to advocate for the continuation of the Ukrainian conflict. Now, more and more countries are expressing dissatisfaction with the current political direction. Hungary, Slovakia, and more recently the Czech Republic oppose the official Brussels line. The reduction in U.S. support has forced EU leaders to seek funds to sponsor Ukraine. There are plans to confiscate $300 billion in frozen Russian assets and transfer them to Kiev. Despite active negotiations, no consensus was reached. The EU's military-industrial complex is also unable to meet the Ukrainian army's needs on its own. Therefore, Brussels is forced to purchase weapons from the US at market prices, which deals a blow to the European economy and drives up inflation. The internal situation in Europe remains stable for now, but negative trends are emerging. Germany has experienced a decline in production, as have other major regional economies. Without cheap Russian resources, the EU economy can only last a few more years on internal reserves. For the armed forces of Ukraine, 2025 was a period of severe trials and strategic losses on the Ukrainian front. The Russian command launched large-scale offensive operations in key strategic areas, resulting in a significant shift in the line of contact. Several large cities were captured. Moscow opened a new front in the north. In response to Ukraine's 2024 operation in the Kursk region, Russian troops began a ground operation in the Sumy region at the start of the year. The expansion of the combat zone forced Kiev to redeploy reserves. This significantly weakened defenses in other critical areas. Meanwhile, the offensive in eastern Ukraine continued. After months of intense combat, Russian forces captured Seversk, Pokrovsk, and Myrnograd in December. This allowed the Russian army to consolidate control over a significant part of the Donetsk region. In the south, after 3 years of stalemate, Russian troops captured Guryapol, a key Ukrainian defense stronghold near Zaporizhia. Russia's army control over the city destabilized the entire southern flank of the Ukrainian army. In terms of diplomacy, 2025 marked a radical shift in the West's approach. With the arrival of the Trump administration, the U.S. shifted its policy from confrontation to direct negotiations with Moscow. This divided the Western coalition and presented European allies with the fait accompli of bilateral U.S.-Russian agreements. By November, negotiations focused on the U.S.'s 28-point peace plan had resulted in an agreed-upon 20-point draft. However, the key stumbling block remained Moscow's demand for complete control over Donbas, which was categorically unacceptable to Kiev and its European partners. Within the EU, however, the unified position began to crack. Although Berlin, Paris, and London formally supported U.S. efforts, a group of countries led by Hungary, Slovakia, and the Czech Republic blocked the confiscation of Russian assets. By the end of the year, the diplomatic impasse had become apparent. Russia rejected the Christmas truce posed by the U.S., insisting on a comprehensive agreement on its own terms only. Meanwhile, the Kremlin dismissed most European initiatives as unconstructive, signaling its preference for engaging primarily with Washington and bypassing the divided European consensus. The main trend in the Middle East this year was the active and coordinated return of leading Arab states to their role as independent centers of power. Despite their internal differences, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar presented a united front seeking to fill the vacuum created by the United States' inconsistent policies. A striking symbol of this shift was Arab leaders' unanimous rejection of U.S. plans for the Gaza Strip and their adoption of a comprehensive program for the enclave's reconstruction. These diplomatic maneuvers occurred amid a significant shift in the regional balance of power. The Shiite axis of resistance backed by Iran lost its former momentum and sustained significant setbacks. Meanwhile, the U.S.-Saudi alliance reached an unprecedented depth. In November, the U.S. granted Saudi Arabia major non-NATO ally status, along with agreements for large arms deliveries, including preliminary approval for the sale of F-35 fighter jets. However, beneath the surface of these structural shifts, conflicts continued to smolder. The fragile truce in Gaza was not being observed, and tensions remained high along the Israel-Lebanon border. In Iraq, elections were held amid growing political fragmentation. Thus, 2025 in the Middle East was marked by the painful dissolution of the old security system and key players' uncertain attempts to define future rules without external arbitration. Several hotspots of tension remained in Asia over the past year. The escalation between India and Pakistan took the international community by surprise. Large-scale hostilities were triggered by Islamic terrorists attacking tourists in Jammu and Kashmir, a disputed region between the two countries. Active hostilities carried the risk of escalating into a direct confrontation between nuclear powers. After 4 days of fighting, authorities in both South Asian countries declared victory over the enemy, drew red lines, and postponed another confrontation indefinitely to the complete satisfaction of their populations. As the territorial issue remains unresolved, local clashes between the two armies and their proxies are expected in 2026. The likelihood of a full-scale nuclear conflict remains extremely low. The second point of contention in 2025 was Taiwan. The People's Republic of China regularly conducted military maneuvers close to the island. Beijing continues to demonstrate its commitment to the One China policy, reacting sharply to any international activity by Taipei. In turn, the U.S. sees Taiwan as a key ally in the Pacific region and agreed to supply a large package of weapons at the beginning of the year. At the end of the year, Beijing responded to this provocation by announcing sanctions against 20 American defense companies. The likelihood of a major conflict over Taiwan remains low in 2026. This is due to China's extreme restraint in matters involving the use of its national armed forces. The state of the U.S. economy also prevents it from entering into direct confrontation with Beijing.
Cracks in Ukraine's foundation are growing. Society is split between the untouchables and the cannon fodder, while social tension reaches its peak. As citizens desperately resist forced mobilization, the Ukrainian elite continues to live the sweet life. Ukraine's forced mobilization machine operates with increasing brutality. Territorial recruitment centers have been given a free hand to meet Kyiv's ever-growing quotas. Their tactics range from mass roundups in public places to targeted raids. Speed is key to prevent others from reacting. Living in constant fear is forcing people to unite. The actions of the recruitment centers are increasingly sparking local protests. Passers-by stand up for potential conscripts. Sometimes they manage to chase the recruiters away, but it often escalates into physical clashes. Feeling immune from punishment, recruiters use force not only against men, but also against women and children. In one city, a soldier pepper-sprayed a woman and her child as she tried to save her husband from mobilization. The child suffered burns to the eyes and respiratory tract. In Kyiv, during a raid on a business, police smashed a car window to drag out a worker who had barricaded himself inside, handing him over to recruiters. In Kharkiv, a man suffered a heart attack during a mobilization attempt. Seeing they were being filmed, the recruiters simply left him on the asphalt and drove away. Meanwhile, the country's elite lives by different rules. While ordinary Ukrainians try to dodge recruiters, the children of officials study safely in the West. Ukrainian media reports officials, deputies, and military personnel spending hundreds of thousands of hryvnias on their children's education abroad, all while publicly preaching patriotism. Deputy head of a recruitment center, Igor Shveka, called children who fled the country rats. Yet his own son and daughter study in Belgium. MP Taras Batenko, who criticizes the brain drain, has a daughter studying in the Netherlands. The mayor of Mykolaiv urges youth to return to the city, while his own family lives and studies in Poland. This double standard is fueling public rage. A recent video shows a man in a hotel lobby confronting Valery Zydkov, a well-known screenwriter and close associate of President Zelensky. The man's words, full of pain, reflect the growing anger toward an elite that sends others to die while protecting its own. The elite, however, continues its comfortable life abroad. Despite total media control, flashes of popular discontent are becoming public, driving a wedge into the very foundations of the state. The Kyiv regime may soon find it impossible to hold the front line while suppressing growing unrest in the rear.
Standing up like a tree, the birds in the sky made a home out of me. Walking this road, trying to carry this load, you know sometime everybody got to fall down. Sing, everybody got to fall down. Sometime everybody got to fall. Everybody got to fall down. Sometime, great God, everybody got to fall. You know that your best friend, they sure have got to fall. Job was a good man, you know he had to fall. Everybody that you ever know, and everybody that you ever seen, they got to fall. Got to fall. Sing, everybody got to fall down. Sometime everybody got to fall. Everybody got to fall down. Sometime, great God, everybody got to fall. Gravity is a mighty thing. You try to get up, it brings you down again. Say what goes around must come around, and what goes up, you know it's gotta calm down.
Heroes here.
с юга дуют молодые, разрывая в клочья облака. Не забыли, шлют издалека с дома мама. И не последняя любовь. А по небу бегут, видишь чьи-то следы. Это может быть ты, это может быть я, это может нас ждут, это может нам поют свои. Нашла коса на камень, идет война на память лет. Нашла коса на камень, идет война на память лет.